Hello everyone, welcome to today's class. And in this class, we are starting a new topic that is asphyxia. And in this class, we are covering introduction to asphyxial death. So first, we have to understand what is asphyxia. So asphyxia is a condition which is caused by the interference with respiration or due to lack of oxygen in respired air. So if there is some interference with respiration and respiratory system of humans, or it is due to lack of oxygen in inspired air, due to which the organs and tissues are deprived of oxygen. Okay, tissues and other organs will be deprived of oxygen together with failure to eliminate carbon dioxide. So they will fail to eliminate carbon dioxide. So what we do, we take oxygen and we eliminate carbon dioxide. So this happens. Okay, so this is our body, and this is outer environment. Let's say I'm writing EVS. Okay, so we take oxygen from the environment and we exchange it with carbon dioxide. So if there is some interference with our respiratory system, we will fail to exchange carbon dioxide with oxygen, or if the oxygen is really very less in inspired air, then again our tissues and organs will be deprived of oxygen, which is not a good condition, and this will cause unconsciousness or death in serious situations. Clear? Adelson defined asphyxia as the physiological and chemical state in a living organism in which acute lack of oxygen available for the cell metabolism is associated with inability to eliminate excess of carbon dioxide. So here Adelson says that the physiological and it is the asphyxia is physiological and chemical state in which the organism, here I'm talking about a human, there is a acute lack of oxygen which is available for cell metabolism. So we take oxygen and this oxygen is transported with the help of red blood cells in all the cells, and these oxygen things are involved in metabolism. So there is lack of oxygen for cell metabolism, which is again associated with inability to eliminate excess of carbon dioxide. So that's why we are not be able to excrete carbon dioxide and asphyxia happens. Some other author also defined asphyxia as a particular state or a condition of the body in which the supply of oxygen, O2 means oxygen, to the blood and tissues have been reduced appreciably below the minimum critical level. So we have a minimum critical level. If we see the oxygen levels are below minimum critical level, there will be a fail of maintenance of oxygen, and it will be really very critical for vital function of the body by any mechanical interference with respiration, and this is termed as anoxia, which means lack of oxygen. Okay, so this is the other definition which is given by other authors. Here we have Gordon's classification of anoxia. So anoxia is a condition we say there is a lack of oxygen. Anoxia means lack of oxygen. So here we have different classification of anoxia by Gordon's. First we have anoxic anoxia, anemic anoxia, stagnant anoxia, and histotoxic anoxia. So anoxic anoxia refers as oxygen from the atmospheric state cannot get entry into the blood. Okay, for example, hanging, strangulation, breathing in contaminated atmosphere. So there is a disturbance in which the person is not able to take outside oxygen inside its system. For example, hanging, strangulation, and if we are breathing in contaminated atmosphere, for example, in case of arson, when the person inhale a lot of carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide, which gets created which gets created when there is a fire everywhere. Next we have anemic anoxia. So oxygen carrying capacity of the blood is reduced. So anemia is a condition in which the blood cells, the red blood cells, becomes like sickle shape red blood cells, or we can say there is a less number of red blood cells. So the oxygen carrying capacity is not up to the mark, and that's why there is a less number of oxygen which is carried by the red blood cell. For example, in case of carbon monoxide poisoning, acute massive hemorrhage. So in case of acute massive hemorrhage and in case of carbon monoxide poisoning, and I am talking about sickle cell anemia as well here, in which I said that the red blood cells gets converted into sickle shape. But in case of anemia, anemia is a condition in which the person has a relatively low amount of red blood cells in the system. Okay, third we have stagnant anoxia, where the circulation of blood is impaired, so that there is a lot of oxygenated blood transported to the tissue. For example, failure or shock. In case of heart failure and shock, we will be able to see stagnant anoxia. Then we have histotoxic anoxia, oxygen also freely available in the bloodstream, and it cannot be utilized by the tissue due to defect in enzymatic process, sorry. For example, acute cyanide poisoning. So there is an influence of some toxic substance. So because of that toxin, the tissues and cells are not be able they are not able the cells and tissues are not able to use the oxygen which is available in the environment. So these are some different classifications of anoxia. Now, what are normal level of oxygen in the system or in humans? So the normal level of oxygen in the arterial blood, we call it PO2, with 95% of saturation of hemoglobin, ranges from 90 to 100 mmHg, okay, in a healthy young adult. The same is 65 and 80 mmHg in above 60 years of age. So if a person is above is 60 or above 60, the level of oxygen would be 65 to 80. In case of hypoxia, which occurs when PO2 is less than 60 mmHg, even though the hemoglobin is 90% saturated, severe hypoxia occurs when PO2 is 40 mmHg. So we have already talked about anoxia. Now what is hypoxia? So hypoxia again is a asphyxiation type of condition. So there is an absence of enough oxygen in the tissues. Okay, so that is hypoxia. Okay, so we say that let's just make a difference, hypoxia and anoxia. So it sounds similar again. So hypoxia is a condition where, okay, wait, this is lack of oxygen. Anoxia is state without oxygen. So there is a difference. Death occurs when PO2 is less than 20 mmHg. So in a healthy young adult, there is 90 and 100 mmHg in a healthy person, and saturation is 95%. And in old age people, 65 and 80 mmHg is required. Hypoxia starts when it drops to 60 mmHg. Okay, when the hemoglobin saturation is 90%. Severe hypoxia occurs when it even drops at 40 mmHg, and death occurs when the level of oxygen is 20 mmHg. Okay, now what is the vicious cycle of asphyxia? If asphyxia starts, it again, like, the person enters into that cycle, and the more and more asphyxia happens to that person. So when asphyxia starts, okay, there is a reduction in oxygen tension in the body. It happens with capillary dilation, which is followed by capillary stasis. Then it comes like capillary stasis followed by the capillary engorgement, and after that stasis of blood in the organs. Diminished venous return to the heart. So it is already reduced, greatly reduced venous return to the heart, then reduced pulmonary flow. This, if again deficient oxygenation in lungs, and more asphyxia happen, and this cycles goes on like this. So asphyxia, then reduction of oxygen tension, then capillary dilation, then capillary stasis, capillary engorgement, stasis of blood in organs, diminished venous return to heart, reduced pulmonary flow, deficient oxygenation in lungs, and then more asphyxia, and it keeps on going. So this is vicious cycle of asphyxia. We can classify asphyxia into different heads. For example, mechanical asphyxia, pathological asphyxia, toxic asphyxia, environmental asphyxia, traumatic asphyxia, okay, postural asphyxia, and latrogenic asphyxia. So we will talk about these different types of asphyxia in upcoming classes. I am just classifying the different types of asphyxia in different heads, and in upcoming classes we will briefly discuss all these different types of asphyxias which is present. And I hope this lecture is helpful to you everyone. Introduction to asphyxia. What is asphyxia? Different classification to anoxia, normal levels of oxygen in adult human person and old age human person, and cycle of asphyxia along with classification of asphyxia. Thank you so much everyone for watching this class. Have a great day ahead. If you want to join any of our classes, coaching available for different courses, UGC NET, criminology, forensic science, and other important entrance examinations related to forensic science, download our application. All the details are given in the description box. Do check that out. See you guys in the next video. Till then, take care. Bye.